Hey guys, how you doing? Uncle Bob here once again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at what is the better movie franchise, computer game fighting movie franchise between uh, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Now, I thought I'd already done this video, or um, I know I've certainly done Mortal Kombat Street Fighter DVD collections, but I thought I'd done the verses, unless I maybe thought of doing it and then just didn't get around to do it. I was looking at my uh, old videos, and all that came up was just Mortal Kombat Street Fighter collections on their own. Couldn't see. I mean, I way I've all done it, but just couldn't see it on there. But yeah, I couldn't see it on there. But anyway, I had this in mind to do this because I think they've both currently got three movies each in their franchises. So I thought I'd do a face-off because they're both quite iconic. You know, what two of the most iconic fighting game franchises there is. Obviously, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter. You know, I think it's all going back to sort of like the 90s, or was it before the 90s? I'm pretty sure it's quite well known or massive in the 90s, like around 93, 94 era. It might have even been earlier than that. But yeah, two massive, iconic uh, computer game franchises. Obviously, they turned into making them into films. Now, it's probably fair to say that not all of the films are that great. In particular, maybe the Street Fighter ones are quite poor. And the Mortal Kombat ones, a couple of them are quite good. And I believe there's another Mortal Kombat. It's either been made or going to come out this year. I think, you know, after the success of the third one. So obviously, you could probably say that. I mean, this is the verses to say which franchise is better. Um, yeah, I mean, I've got a pretty good idea what franchise is going to be better. But let's look at now. See, first of all, Street Fighter came out 94, I believe it was, quite some time ago. Now it's well 30 years ago now. I think I was about 9 or 10 when this came out. Um, yeah. Now I didn't see it at the cinema, although I really, really wanted to, but didn't actually see it until it came out on video, I believe it was. Um, yeah, so took me a while to see it back in the day, 30 years ago, but got around to seeing it, and I've seen it many times since then. Um, and yeah, I think at the time it was sort of because it was supposed to be quite big, you know, because it was coming from Street Fighter, and I think actually like the trailers and that all looked pretty good, but I don't think it was the best movie. I know a lot of people said it wasn't the best movie, um, and yeah, it just wasn't as good as it should have been. Although a lot of the characters did look quite good, to be fair and honesty. They didn't really change much. Um, you know, Guile looked like Guile, and Bison uh, looked uh, like Bison. Um, yeah, so that was pretty good. Vega looked like Vega. Ken and Ryu, not sure about them. It's like them, and can't remember some of the other characters' names. I'm not sure one is E Honda. I'm not the greatest when it comes to Street Fighter. I mean, I played the games back in the day, but I wasn't like an expert in knowing all the characters. I mean, as I said, I pretty much know the main ones like Guile and Bison. Ken and Ryu, Vega, uh, but some of the others, yeah, not 100% too keen. I mean, I've heard the names, but I couldn't really tell you some of them. Um, but yeah, as I said, yeah. So they all looked pretty much like the characters. I think in this case they probably tried to do too much with it in terms because they tried to do all the whole lot of characters and probably it's mainly too many. But they did well to cover it and do all the characters. But yeah, there's probably too much for them to do. But yeah, they did look all quite good, even if the film, didn't really deliver as much as it probably should have done. But yeah, the looks wise, it all looked pretty good. And yeah, the film itself just wasn't that great. I mean, it was all right, but it just wasn't great. Um, but however, over the years and now, 30 years later, I think, it's a cult sort of classic for all the wrong reasons. It's just one of them films where you just think, yeah, it wasn't good at the time, but now, when I watch it, I actually think it's quite fun. And actually, because I watched it twice recently, um, and yeah, it wasn't good back then, but now when I watch it, it's actually quite fun to watch because obviously it gives you the nostalgia from back in the day. But I actually think it's not that bad, and I think it's enjoyable to watch for all the wrong reasons, yeah. But I think it's fun and it's cool. Um, but yeah, it's just a great. Obviously not the best, but it's all right. However, looking at Mortal Kombat's first film was pretty much, I don't say a massive success, but pretty successful, and it was way better than Street Fighter in terms of not only how they looked, but in general the storyline, uh, and I think the fighting was way better than Street Fighter. Obviously, Mortal Kombat first one was released in '95, and again at the time I was only about 10 or 11, and I was actually too young to see it because I think it was 15 back then in 1995, and I was only about 11, so I was too young to see it at the cinema. Had to wait until it came out on video, and then got the video straight away to watch it back then. And then I just loved it. I watched it many times after that, and I've seen it loads of times over the years since then. And I just think it's fantastic, really. Although there's a few those review type people that have said about the dialogue and some of the talking is not great. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the dialogue and some of the talking is not that great. However, storyline and the fighting makes up for it really. The choreography in the fighting is pretty good, to be honest, and some of the fight scenes are very good. Especially the Scorpion and Johnny Cage fight is pretty good. Sub-Zero versus Liu Kang is a very good fight, and Reptile versus Liu Kang is a really good fight. So those are pretty much the best fights on there. Johnny Cage versus Goro is not so good. And Goro also it looks like Goro, but his movements and that, yeah, doesn't really deliver in this. Um, but yeah, definitely and Liu Kang is pretty much really all about Liu Kang. I mean, he's involved in about 4 fights in this, and Johnny Cage and Sonya are involved in I think Sonya's only involved in one fight, or one fight and then another fight that's a group fight. Johnny Cage is involved in 2 fights and then a group fight. Yeah, but it was all really Liu Kang. The guy that plays Liu Kang does such a really good job. As I said, it's pretty much all about him really being in most of the fights. But yeah, the storyline about the tournament is pretty good because it is pretty much a whole franchise game. It's about tournament Mortal Kombat, so certainly sticks with the storyline. And yeah, the fighting is great, and yeah, it's just a really cool movie. So in terms of what is the better, uh, you know, when it comes to what's better, the first release of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, yes, hands down, it is Mortal Kombat. Um, because it delivers in, you know, whether there's a few issues with the dialogue and talking or whatever, fighting and visually it looks great, and that's all good to me, and yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, Mortal Kombat definitely wins the first one. And in terms of the sequels, um, Street Fighter does get pretty worse. Street Fighter released Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, which, to be honest, is not that great. Uh, it's just it's quite a poor storyline. It's about Chun-Li, obviously, which not a lot of people really cared about. Um, and yeah, Vega's in it as well. But yeah, It's quite a poor cast. The storyline's quite poor. Fighting is all right, but not spectacular. And yeah, it's just not a great film, to be honest. I mean, it's all right, but it just yeah, it doesn't give you a big impact or anything like that. But it's just all right. Mortal Kombat's sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, is actually pretty good, I think. It's not as good as the first in terms of like maybe the storyline and the acting is not great, but the fighting is actually not that bad. Actually, yeah, right. It might not be to the level of first Mortal Kombat, but it's actually up there. And I think it's quite. I enjoyed it when I first saw it. And I think the fighting is good, and the fights are fun and cool, and the music is very good. I have to point out that the music is very good in Annihilation. I actually got, I think I've still got the CD from that because there's quite a few artists that did the music for that, and a lot of sort of like fast beat type, but sort of like dance type tracks in Annihilation. So the music is very good. I mean, the music is quite good in Mortal Kombat, but in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it's sort of more, uh, you know, dancing sort of fast beat tracks, which is pretty good. Um, yeah, and I've listened to the CD many times over the years. But yeah, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is not, right. As I said, the acting and fighting might not be as good as the first, but it's still pretty fun and enjoyable, I feel. And I said that the music and some of the fights are quite fun and enjoyable, and it's all right, and it is better than The Legend of Chun-Li. So yeah, the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, is better than The Legend of Chun-Li. And then the last one is the third sequel. Now, I'm trying to think, come out first. Let's just go Street Fighter. Now, it's not actually a third sort of installment. They sort of made Street Fighter, and they did Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li, or there's not a sequel, but it's a second Street Fighter film. And then this is sort of the third sort of, live action, but it's real people. Third one they made, where it's, now I picked this up because this was direct to video, or direct to DVD, I should say. and I saw this and I thought it actually looked pretty good from the cover, and I thought, oh, I mean, I wasn't too sure. I thought they'd remade uh, the first one, or sort of, you know, just tried to make it better. Obviously, it's called Assassin's Fist, and it was released. Well, actually, it's just 2013, 2014, I believe it was. Oh, it's quite some time ago now. But yeah, anyway, this is, uh, you know, just as I said, it's not in direct sequels, but it's just the third one. It's a live action one that they made. And to tell you the truth, yeah, I mean, overall, it's not that spectacular. Um, but it somehow sort of like works in a few ways, but then it sort of doesn't. In terms of working, Ken and Ryu, first of all, Ken and Ryu look really, really good. They actually do look like Ken and Ryu, which I must say. They really did nail the looks of them. They definitely look like Ken and Ryu. I'll give them that. So that was one of the things that actually did look like Ken and Ryu from the computer game, which looks pretty good. And actually, yeah, it's not, that spectacular, but it's in some cases it sort of does work, because there's sort of the bits where they're training Ken and Ryu to become sort of fighters, and they're starting to, learn how to fight, and they're starting to learn how to use their sort of powers, getting trained. And it's sort of, yeah, they're training and then sort of fighting, and then there's sort of all like standoff fights where there's sort of, it seems like it is a computer game, which is in one sense is quite good, because it gives you that feel of, you know a live action film being a computer game, so it gives you that. However, it's sort of like it's quite a long movie. It's like 2 hours or just over. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's quite long. It's probably too long. And it's sort of, yeah, as I said, there's good bits and there's bad bits. As I said, it does give you the feel of, when they're fighting, sort of like a computer. It feels like it's a live action computer game, which is good. But yeah, it's quite long, and there's long bits where they're training, and it's just a lot of training between Ken and Ryu. So it does go on quite a while. So it probably goes on too long. And yeah, as I said, the actual fights are quite like a computer game, but it sort of lacks that sort of movie storyline where you've got something big happening and then sort of go off to different locations in the film. Sort of, yeah, we sort of build on story. It sort of stays in one location, and as I said, there's like training going on, and then there's like the standoff fights, but then there's not sort of like any real big sort of storyline going on. It's just like anytime there's anything going on, it's just like, fights, as it goes more into the film. Whereas you see Street Fighter is sort of like Bison trying to take over sort of the world and like do world domination. You've got that storyline going on. As with this, there's sort of the villains in it. Sort of, there's, they're not trying to take over the world or nothing. It's just like the standoff fights. They're sort of Ken and Ryu's training, then they're sort of like having a fight against each other. Then some villains appear, and then they're sort of having standoff fights. And yeah, I just don't think it works. If they'd have done this and it had been sort of just a live action computer game where they were just having one-off fights, it would have worked. But as an actual movie, I don't think it does work. But yeah, fighting is actually all right. It does actually look like, you're watching a live action computer game. But yeah, in terms of film wise, yeah, I just don't think it works. Um, Now, Mortal Kombat's third release is actually pretty good, to be honest. I think it did do quite well. A lot of people saying it was. I don't think I like it as much as the first, or even as Annihilation, but it is a very good uh, release. Characters in it look pretty good. The fighting is very, very good. Storyline's quite good as well. Obviously, sticking to the main theme of obviously the Mortal Kombat tournament, and yeah, the characters are quite good, and it brings in more characters from the sort of Mortal Kombat franchise. Obviously, you've got the characters from for Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and there's even more characters that look pretty good. And actually, Goro does actually look better than he does in this than the first one. So there is that. That's pretty good. And yeah, as I said, the fighting is pretty good. Storyline is quite good. And yeah, I quite like it. As I said, don't like it as much as Mortal Kombat because I just think Mortal Kombat 1 is still better, and it gives me the more nostalgia from when I used to see it when I was younger. This obviously doesn't give me that same feeling. However, it is pretty strong. As I said, it is a pretty good. It's sometimes a lot of these films, remakes or reboots get made, and they don't do that well. Some of them, however, this is a quite good reboot uh, film where they did do quite well with it, and that's why obviously there's another one coming out. So I'll be hoping to take a look at that at some stage. But yeah, it's really, really good, and it certainly is better than Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. So with all that being said, yeah, Mortal Kombat, I think it's fair to say, wins on all three films, to be honest. However, I mean, I don't think there's anything much going for Street Fighter. I mean, the fighting is all right, but not great. Street Fighter, I like it because of the nostalgia, and it is fun to watch now because it has become a cult classic, and I do quite like it, even though it wasn't great back then. Uh, Assassin's Fist is alright in a sense. It's like gives you that feel of a live action computer game, like with real people. But in terms of like movie, there's sort of like no real big storyline there, so I don't think it works. And Mortal Kombat is just fantastic. Annihilation is fun, not as good as the first, but pretty cool. Music is very good, and the fighting is still quite good. And Mortal Kombat the reboot is quite a good reboot, to be honest. Pretty good. And yeah, so overall, Mortal Kombat wins. Flawless victory, I guess you could say. And yeah, guys, that is going to be it. Probably longer than what I wanted to do, but I thought I'd give a good video on this and give you something to watch if you're Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter fans. So this is one for you if you like that, and if it's too long for you, feel free to not watch it or skip certain parts, but if you do want to enjoy it, feel free to. And yeah, guys, that is going to be it for this. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you don't, fair enough. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, bye for now, see you soon. Thanks.